Veena madam, you can start.
A fabulous morning to all. Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers, motivated students, and enthusiastic parents with high expectations. I extend a very warm welcome to the speaker of the day, management, and to all the invitees. I'm Veena Sunil, Academic Coordinator of Soundarya Central School, honored to be here as the moderator of this session. It's my privilege to take you through today's parent awareness session on the topic how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. Before we start the day, let us invoke the blessings of divinity. Let us begin by offering our humble prayers and inviting God to be with us all the time.
Recording in progress.
It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries. On behalf of the management, I'm extremely honored to welcome the speaker of the day, Mrs. Fathima Asghar, parent, coach, and founder of Evolve Ed. I extend my hearty welcome to the legend Sri Soundarya P. Manjaka, founder and chairman of Soundarya Educational Trust, who is a great inspirational personality. A very warm welcome to the backbone of our institutions, Mrs. Sunita P. Manjapa, Managing Director of SET. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome Mr. Kirtan Kumar, CEO of SET, who is a role model to all. A gracious welcome to Mrs. Patiksha, trustee member of SET. A very warm welcome to Dr. K. Matai, the Director of Administration of Soundarya Institutions. A cordial welcome to our beloved principal, Mrs. Renuka Devi, who is a guiding force to all the endeavors of Soundarya Central School. A gracious welcome to all the academic coordinators, teachers, and the technical department of SES. Finally, a joyous welcome to the most important dignitaries of the day. Welcome, dear parents. Once again, a hearty and enthusiastic welcome to one and all. Dear parent, it's time to introduce the speaker of the day. Mrs. Fatima Asghar brings with her close to 18 years of experience in the education sector, working extensively with children, teachers, and parents in areas of life skills, training, personality development, and child behavior management. A teacher trainer and a certified parent coach who now works with families to create a happy, fulfilling environment at home and classroom. She has also conducted training programs outside India and trained teachers and parents in the Middle East. She is a parent consultant and holds an international parent coach training mastery certification from ACPI Academy for Coaching Parents International, USA. As an ACPI inspired student and learner, she facilitates and supports their vision of positive transformation in human relationships, featuring the science of parenting and the art of coaching in bonding, connection, and responsiveness. She has completed training in using mindful and self compassion with Center for Mindful and Self Compassion. She uses mindfulness with parents, teachers, and children as a way to unlock hidden mental patterns and pay attention to one's own spiritual and emotional needs. She currently heads Evolve Ed, a Bangalore based training organization that primarily works in the space of childcare, focusing on healing, restoring, and transforming human relationships. She is a member of the Early Childhood Association of India. She is also a leadership coach that focuses on bringing compassion, mindfulness, and contemplation into school leadership. She holds a professional certificate from Monash University, Australia, in coaching educational leaders. Now, I invite Fatima Man to take over the session.
Thank you so much, Veena, for that wonderful but long introduction.
You're
um,
welcome, ma'am.
it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much to uh, all the people who have really put in a lot of efforts to organize this, right from Miss Renuka to the management. So it's my pleasure to be here. And so after this long introduction, I'm sure the parents are really confused, saying, "What do I remember of Fatima?" But I really want you to remember one thing, irrespective of whatever I have done in my life, I'm a mother of two kids. I have two children, and one of them is about 22 years old. She's settled in her university, and my younger one is 15-year old. So that means, what does that mean? That means I've gone through parenting course twice as an experience by myself. So what does that mean? That means with the first child, when I was raising her up, and I finally figured out, like I thought, like, oh, you know what, now I understand how to discipline her. I understand how to talk to her. I understand her how to threaten her to get her to do what I want. That's the time my second one comes into the picture and says, listen, you thought you figured everything out, you haven't figured out anything. Let me take you back to the drawing board, because you have no clue how I'm going to act. So my two children, very different. One is very intellectual. So the other one is, the first one actually runs with the mind. My younger one is very, very emotional. She's a person by heart. So do individuals, what works with the first one does not work with the second one. So I have experienced, irrespective of how many families that I have worked with personally, I have two kids, and they have really taught me a lot about parenting. So I'm here today as a mom, as a parent, to really give my perspective on on how you can talk to kids so that they can listen to you. Yeah, so that's the whole idea. So I thought there will be a couple of parents here on Zoom, and we could make it very interactive. However, what we'll do is we'll still keep it interactive. If you are on Zoom, there are a couple of people over here. Just write down, what is it about this topic that brings you here? If you are on Facebook and you're watching this live, you can also go on chat box and you can write down what brings you here, what's on your mind, what is your concern. Just go ahead and write down. I'm going to really look into it so I understand what that is. So go ahead and just write down whatever brings you here. You can use your chat box. So, what do you want to take away from this session? Do you want strategies? Do you want skills? Do you want ideas? Do you want stories? What is it that you're looking for? That is what I am aiming at, because this session is definitely for you. And what may work for me and what may work probably with Veena, with her children, is not something that's going to work probably at your place. Because at the end of the day, what we fail to realize is that when we are teaching our children, I'm not even using the word training, when we are talking to our children, when we are teaching, that's our intention. We talk because we want to teach, we want to educate them, we want them to know what is the right and the wrongs and how to do things. Let's use the word discipline because it's so much more easier. So we want them to do that. But when we are engaging with them and we're teaching with them, what sometimes we forget is that we are really engaging with a mind, a human mind. So whenever we are teaching, we are really looking at dealing with the psyche, your psyche versus their psyche. So we are actually engaging with a human mind. We're not engaging with a machine where you can feed the data and then it's like a software and the child will start doing what you want, right? So it's not a software, it's not a machine. So we are engaging with a human mind that has thoughts, it has its own ideas, it has its own working, it has feelings, it's looking, it's learning, it's deconstructing. So it's very important for you to really look at where we are. So please go ahead and write your answers. So there's somebody over here who is looking at teenage kids. Wow, that's my space of area, my dear. I work with teenagers and teenage parents, skills and ideas. I'm also on Facebook, so I want to know how I can allow my son to freely express himself. Okay, go ahead, parents, write down whatever you're expecting. You can write it in a word or even as a question. I have absolutely no problem. How to convey discipline? My child good at studies but arrogant. Okay, go ahead. Skills. How to improve focus? If you're looking at questions with regards to gadgets, go ahead and do that as well. Skills, attitude. A couple of people say skills, attitude. If some of you would want to interact with me directly, parents, what you can do is you can log in and get on the Zoom, because then I can really help you to deconstruct what's happening and help you to understand things better. So if you want to join me on Zoom link, that's open as well. So I'm going to just wait for another 30 seconds and I'm going to start with my presentation. How do you understand children's mindset? That's a good one. So how do you understand children's mindset? Oh, somebody's child is very, very moody. Engage kids to sit at some time, play and study. How to control patience? I'm a little impatient. Yes. All right. So you can just go ahead and keep writing your questions and your concerns on Facebook. Maybe Veena can help me with it at the end of the session. But I'm going to start my presentation right now. So this is how it's going to be. I'm going to walk you through something. I'm going to walk you through a presentation. That's my ideas. And hold on. So I want you to listen and I want you to keep putting your questions over here. Veena, can you see this? Just show me a thumbs up if you can.
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay. All right. So Veena has already introduced me, so I'm not going to take any more time in introducing myself. But like I said, I'm a parent. I'm a self-compassion teacher. I work with teenagers and I teach meditation, calming strategies. So if you're looking at some ways to keep your patience when your child is throwing a tantrum, where I'm the person you can meet, I'll tell you exactly how you can do that. I will try to see if I can bring some strategies over here, but because today's session is about how to talk to children so they listen and listen so kids will talk. Interesting topic, very interesting. So, first time when I was given this topic by a school, I just felt there was a gap. I felt that this was impossible, because a lot of times what we forget is that we feel like we're in control of our children. Like when we talk to them, we want them to listen. We want them to listen to us. And when you say the word listen, what are we actually looking at? We want them to obey us. Am I right? Yes, you want them to obey. So that means pick up that book, keep it in your place, make the bed, go brush your teeth, and immediately you want them to say, okay mommy, okay daddy, why should I have to brush? No, but yes mommy, I'm going to go and brush my teeth. That's what we expect out of them. But children come with a very different spirit. They're like, really, why should I listen to you? You tell me first. So for a few years they will somewhere tune themselves to listen to you. So they'll be like, brush your teeth beta, I'm going to give you a chocolate. That, yes mommy. And then they'll go because the chocolate is waiting for them. But it is in the middle school years. So that means when they're about 11, 10, 11, is when they start saying why. In fact, much before that, they start why. Maybe around 4 or 5 years. Why should I brush my teeth? I'm not interested. I'm bored, right? So when they come to 10th, they're like, no, I'm not going to brush my teeth. I'm not going to keep my, bed clean. I don't want it. I like it messy. So they start. So from the time when you felt like you can control them, they're moving into, and you're like, what is happening right now? I mean, I can't get them to listen to me. So I felt there was a gap in the topic. So what I did was I rephrased it and I added a word, which I think is so important for us. Because when we are talking to our children, we should talk in a way that they choose to listen to us. Like my father used to say that respect cannot be demanded, it has to be commanded. It has to be put in such a way that children choose to listen. That's what my dad's saying, right? So, how do you talk to children so they choose to listen? And how do you listen to them so that they choose to talk? So, I think that choice is something which is important for us to understand, because I'm coming back to the point, we're not dealing with machines. We're dealing with human minds, which comes with feelings, which has fabric of emotions, right? So we have to keep that in mind, right? So I want you to actually reflect on a few questions, and maybe you can just put this up on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching. How does it feel when your child doesn't listen to you? So, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask Veena to come and give me some answers. And Veena, do we have some parents on Zoom right now?
Yes, we do have.
Okay, so maybe a parent can unmute and tell me, because really how I feel when my child doesn't listen to me is very different. Like for example, it could be that when my child doesn't listen to me, I'm like, okay, right, okay, I'm okay with that. But some of you may get angry, some of you may get very irritated, some of you may get very anxious and nervous, saying, oh my gosh, what's happening? So I just want you to pause and tell me, how does it feel when your child doesn't listen to you? So if you can unmute, or maybe you can put it on chat box, that's fine as well. So I can't see the chat box. So I would want someone to unmute and tell me that. So Veena, are you a parent as well? Veena?
Yes.
Are you a parent? I'm sorry, I'm pulling you up now because you are going to be my anchor for today. So I can't
Yes.
see the parents on my list. I can't see them. So
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
even see the chat box become sharing. So if you can just tell me, how does it feel when your child doesn't listen to you?
Naturally, I'll feel angry, right?
You'll feel angry, right?
Right.
Is there any
Why
other
is not
responses
listening?
coming?
Might be something went wrong from my side. The way I asked, or
Oh,
something like that, I feel, right?
yeah, like something went wrong from my side. So there's a bit of guilt also that comes in. Am I being a bad mom? Am I not saying this, right? So am I not saying it in the right way? What's going to happen? Then the anxiety also comes in. So there's a little bit of anxiety, there's a little bit of anger, there's a little bit of guilt. Anyone else would like to unmute and tell me, how does it feel
Hey
when your child
Fatima,
doesn't
can you hear
listen to you?
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you. So my name is Ravi Kumar. My son, youngest, I have two kids. Okay, one is a 16-year-old. He's in 11th standard,
Hmm.
and second one is in third standard. Okay, so both of them are like different age. I mean age levels, right? And like they have got a different mindset. Okay, so both of them like sometimes will be quarreling and like so it's very difficult for me to manage. Okay, because for him the college going kid will be like he'll be thinking at his level. Okay, and like he doesn't come down to third standard level and teach him or guide him. So he will be at his own pace or while talking or like arguing with parents, right? He does those things with us. When
Right.
the younger son listen to all these things, he start imitating him or like he start following his brother, elder brother. So that is one. Okay. Number two, my younger son. If I talk about my younger son, that is my priority now because he's very gets high tempered. Like he's a very slightly impatient. Okay. So when I try to tell him something, like he starts, okay, no, daddy, I know everything. He'll not listen to me. He starts his own. Okay, I know you. I know. It's just only I got one little less marks. So what is the problem? So he start doing all those things.
How sweet. Okay. Okay. So you're concerned about that, yeah?
Yeah, actually, the younger one, like saying like I try to make him meditate like for some time, like a sit for at least for sit 30 minutes. He don't want to sit for meditation. He gets angry so soon, right? Like it's very like it's like anger is being in front of his nose only. Like it comes out by it just bursts out.
Hmm. So how does it
I'm
make you
like
feel?
from expectation from you is like how can I like make him calm down? Like it's very difficult. Like he just increases his like the breathing his like anger. Like I can see like so much outburst on his face when he gets anger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me answer this question a little more elaborately towards the end, because I'd like to do an exercise. I'm sure, because I saw the word patience a lot on Facebook, and since you're talking about anger, I would definitely like all of you to get experience and exercise and a practice so that you can introduce that to your kids. But I think what's important is for you to understand that kids have been in at home with lockdowns, and they have been so confined in their spaces that they have no other way but to vent out their emotion, but their homes and their families. And unfortunately, what has happened is that, especially with the older ones and people who are in the pre-teens and growing into teenage, it has robbed them off of their sense of agency. That means, their identity, like who am I in a family setup, who am I in a school setup, how is it, who am I in my friend setup. So there is a lot of frustration which kids are anyways facing, keeping the situation in mind. But yes, one thing is for sure, that we'll have to teach them to calm, but don't intervene. So it's like antibiotic. We teach discipline and strategies like an antibiotic. Oh, there is a wound, give him an injection, give him an antibiotic, and then you know what, he's going to be all right. But this teaching actually comes with a lot of proactiveness. That means we'll have to really calm ourselves down a little bit, right? So you have to look at our own um, calming levels. How do I express my emotions, because we are the best person to kind of tell them. So that's number one. Number two is, you can't get into that moment and then teach them to calm down. So you'll have to somewhere build that sense, so that they prepare themselves to face that moment when there's a conflict, they're calming down and they're doing it. So I'll tell you what that means. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is, you'll have to be a little preventive and proactive. Intervention at that point of time very rarely actually helps. So I'm going to leave you with an exercise later. So what I'm hearing is, what does it feel when your child doesn't listen to you? So a lot of times parents have told me that they feel betrayed. They feel that they're not good enough, they're not doing good job. They feel angry, they feel fear, that fear and anxiety. They feel irritation. They also feel a loss of control, like, oh, I can't control anything, right? Like, kids are, these both are just fighting with each other, and I've just lost that control, I don't know what to do with them, right? So it kind of evokes unpleasant feelings for sure. Now, this is something which is also a time when you need to reflect on, what are the times, because you're not going to be in that phase of irritation all the time. There are times when you actually allow yourself to deeply listen, like you have that patient. Maybe you had a good day, maybe your mother is visiting, maybe your mother is visiting and she's gone back to her house, so you're a little more calmer. Maybe the maid has come. You know how housewives are. I mean, we are people who can live without our husbands. We can't live without housewives. I mean, they are the most important people. When they don't come, our anger and our irritation and restlessness is just out of the road, right? So maybe we're just having a calm day. Maybe there's something good that has happened. And there are times when we actually deeply can listen and we're patient. We sit with them and we listen to them, and something just comes very naturally and organically. Maybe there are times as well. I want you to reflect on that time. What are those times? And make a mental note of this, because that is the state with which we need to kind of open up in ourselves, right? And one thing is for sure, let me tell you what this third point actually means. So this is that story. So that's that little Buddha thing was actually something which I want you to, which is a reminder for me to tell you this story. So this is a story which my teacher told me when I was, in a retreat, and it was a he, and he basically told us the story of four monks, and these four monks were walking down from one place. So it's a forest, camp. Yeah, so it is a monastery which is placed in a forest. So they were moving from one monastery to the other. So while walking on the stream, so they were walking on one side, there was a river. The other side, there was a family who was walking as well. So they were going from one point to one point. So these three monks were the student monk, and the one monk, the fourth one, was the leader. So these three of them were actually watching that family. They were arguing and they were fighting and they were shouting. So one of the monk turns to the other two and asks them, saying, "Why are they shouting in anger? Like, why are they shouting?" So the other two said, maybe they're angry, maybe they're irritated, maybe there's some conflict within the family. We don't know what is happening, and da 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 da. So they were discussing about why that happens. So this one of that student monk is asking the other, saying, if you're angry, and but why are you shouting when you're angry when you are physically so close with each other? Like, you're standing so close. Why are you shouting? Like, why is it so loud? So they were all discussing why, and then they finally go to this leader monk, the head monk, and they ask, saying, why is it that this family is shouting so loudly and screaming, even though they're physically so close with each other? So the head monk actually turns around, thinks for a while, and says that, when you get very angry, your heart separates. That means you emotionally disconnect. So, because even though you're physically close, your hearts are so separated that you will have to scream for you to give that message to the other person. So, you'll have to scream louder. And the more angry you get, the more separation happens. That means the more hearts that are separated. And because your hearts are separated, you shout more because you want the other person to listen. So that monk got somehow made sense to him. And then he says, well, what happens if you are, really in love with that person? You're not angry, but there is another emotion. Let's say love. Then what? He says, because you're in love and you're loving someone and you're caring for that somebody, the hearts are so close to each other, you just need to whisper. And when you deeply love somebody and deeply care for somebody, sometimes you just have to be quiet and the person is going to understand what he has to say. You don't have to even talk sometimes, right? So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of times when we are talking, we feel we are the ones who are talking, but it is actually three people talking at the same time. In fact, even more than that. We have a chatter in the head, right? We have a chatter that is going on, like the words that we are saying, right? And there is also a chatter that is going in your child's mind, and of course he's trying to put something. So there are actually four people talking at the same time. And if we have a chatter going in our head, why is he like that? How many times should I tell him to put that glass? How many times should I tell him to stop fighting with his older brother? This is like the 10th time. Kitna bhi bolo, he's not going to listen. That is the chatter that is going. Obviously, you're going to spill that anger out and you're going to say that to them, right? So if you really truly want to listen and get your child to listen, we have to somewhere inwardly be silent ourselves, because that relationship now just go. I what I do is I have a Facebook group of parents. I keep putting a lot of my thoughts and quotes and out of my experience of talking to people. So read what I have written over here. It's one of the quotes that I said, that a messy room sometimes, and this is a choice that we have to make, is much better than a messy mind and a broken heart. Because relationship, if you have no relationship, if you feel you can't connect with children, when you are angry, he is angry, you are not ready to talk, he's not ready to listen, then there is no way that the child is going to talk. Does that resonate with you? If yes, go, in your chat box, just say yes. And maybe people who are on Facebook, just put a thumbs up if you can. It's like when you don't like someone, supposing you don't like your neighbor, if you don't like your mother-in-law, I don't know, maybe you don't like somebody in your as a boss, would you be actually listening to that person very patiently and calmly, or would you be like, I don't want to listen to you, man, you just don't understand me, you don't I don't want to listen to anything. I don't want to listen to your reason as well. Like, I'm not there, because somehow, and that reflects in your conversation with them. So the idea over here is relationship, super important. If your hearts are separated but your bodies are close, anyways, they're not listening, right? So let me give you an example of what I meant by that. Um, my child, I have like a 15-year-old. So I'm going to give you an example, right? So I'll tell you what this means. I have a 15-year-old child, and because she's in her teens, she's got a lot of anger. She throws a lot of anger at me, and sometimes she even bangs the door. Right? She bangs the door. She says, "You don't understand me. Don't talk to me right now." And at that point of time, I somewhere relationship. So for me, I have this urge of saying, hey, you know what? You can't talk to your mom like that. You can't bang doors. You can't say, things which are unpolite. That is not being polite. But at that point of time, I back off. I back off and I said, okay, baby, maybe this is not the right time for you to tell me this. Maybe I'm not asking you the right question right now. So you know what? Let me just back off, let me just go, and probably then I will come and ask you the same question if there is something that I want to do, or maybe I'll talk to you maybe about 20 minutes later, or whenever you're ready to talk. You know what happens? She comes down after some times and she said, Mom, I'm sorry, you know what, I just had a fight with my friend and I was so upset. My teacher does not understand me, my counselor did not listen to me, and blah 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 blah, blah. And she tells me everything. I said, okay, yeah. So for me, that urge of correction, oh, I want you to stop talking like that, because I don't want my anxiety to run. I don't want to think, because a lot of times it happens in our head. We think like, oh, the child is using foul language, the child is keeping the room messy, so he's going to be like that for his entire lifetime. Like, I've not done my good job enough. But that's not the truth. At that point of time, what is it that the child actually needs? And that correction can always come. Connection before correction. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to connect. And then after that, I told her, saying, you know what? This is the dialogue I told my daughter. I said, baby, you know what? You leave the room messy. Your blanket is not done. Every day I've been doing it. I just wanted to remind you to make your bed before you go to school. Would you do that? Yes, mommy, I will. Right? So for me, connection is before correction. I can always correct the child. I can always come back. But that reflection of, am I ready to talk? Is he ready to listen to me? They both are fighting. Like Ravi said, both the children are fighting. So is that the right time for me to even say something? Is it the right time for me to intervene? And are they ready to listen to me? My relationship is more important. And that is something which is super important for you to understand. So because talking and listening um, is reciprocal in nature. So that means when you talk, you want that person to, or your child to, understand what you're saying. Hey, you know what? I want you to make your bed because it's a habit that is going to be good for you. It's a habit that is going to help you. Cleanliness is important. It's a part of my value. You want the child to understand what is your perspective, because for a child, messy room is what he likes to be in. Like, he feels that's his comfort zone, right? So for you to understand that, messy room is what makes him comfortable, you want him to also understand you, saying, I understand that you're comfortable in a messy room, but you know what, maybe you can keep your desk messy, maybe you can keep your cupboard messy, but bed is something, please don't keep it messy, because that is not something that is okay. So talking and listening is reciprocal. That means it's like a dance. You do something, they do something. They listen, they talk. You talk, they listen. So that is very important for you to understand. It's not only one person talking. Like my father used to tell me this, which I was telling this parent. So there was this one parent who was coming and discussing, because I do a lot of one-to-one with parents. So she was telling me, saying, my younger one, who's 11 years old, no matter how many times I tell him to keep his plate, he never keeps his plate on the table or in the kitchen. It's always on the table. Kitne baar bolo, he doesn't. So, that reminded me of what my father told me. My father was a very strict, authoritative, sort of a person. Like, it was like he told me, and that's it. So he used to tell us, saying, I'm going to tell you this in Hindi because it sounds really funny, but maybe I'll translate that into English. So he used to say, "Teen baar bol diya." That means बच्चों को 3 बार बोलना. 3 बार बोल दिया, so that means it's over. So that means my father used to say that, I'm going to try to see if I can, translate that in English. He says, I'll tell you 3 times. And a child should listen, not even a good child or a bad child. A child should listen in the 3rd time. If it's not 3rd time, 4th time, you will see what I will do for you. So my dad was like that. So I used to ask, I went to my dad right now some time back and I said, Dad, what was this rule of 3? Why 3? Why not 30? Why is it that you want it only 3 times? Like, what is it? So, at that particular time with this parent, I had to ask them, because children don't look at cleanliness and order like the way the adult does. So you will have to ask the child and ask yourself, what does the child needs? Maybe the child needs reminders, because 3 times sometimes, needs to be fourth time. And some children just needs, constant reminders because their attention span is very, very less. They listen to you and they will hold your order right now. But after some time, they forget. And I'm sure all of you have that, right? You'll have to tell them every day to pick up that sock, to put that water bottle in its place, to keep the bag over there. I mean, that's because children have attention spans which are much, much lesser than ours. And secondly, they don't understand that value of cleanliness, order, things kept in its place the way like an adult does. So for them, they just do it. So for you, you'll have to repeatedly keep telling them, saying, beta, bag in its place, right? So we'll come to dialogues a little later, but when you are really talking to them, it's super important for you to completely give your full attention, especially when you're teaching them something. Like, for example, you're teaching them to keep, they come from school, they throw their bags everywhere, right? So you want to tell them because it's important to you, right? A lot of times, this is the mistake that we do, especially as mothers. We're on the phone with somebody else, and the child comes in and they say, okay, hold on, hold on. Beta, how's your day? Good? Okay, you know what? Don't keep the bag there. Go keep it back in its place. Okay? And this, I'm telling you this twice. I'm not going to tell you this. Okay. And then finally, you just go and you continue with your conversation. Well, that's not teaching. That's not teaching, because the child will also know you're not there. When that bag, if you think that the bag needs to go, it's an important skill that you want the child to learn. It's something small for you, but for him, it's a very big thing. For you, it could be, keeping things should be something which is very minute, very basic, fundamental. But for them, that is a very big skill that they're learning. So you will have to keep the phone down and be ready for them and say, you know what, beta, I can see the bag over there. Bag goes over there. So give your complete attention. When you're giving your complete attention, they actually realize and they sense that, oh, this is an important skill for me. This is not like, by the way, it's not something my parent is just 50-50 serious about it. It's something serious that I have to do. And so they tend to listen to that much better, right? And also accepting and validating. So a lot of time, when um, you know when they say things like, no, you want me to keep the bag, I'm not going to keep the bag right now. Okay, you're always telling me. I said, no, keep it right now. No, you're telling me, I'm not going to listen to you. Maybe you may have a conflict like that. And a lot of times it evokes that sense of anger, saying, oh, you're telling me I'm wrong. Okay, fine, you don't want to keep the bag here, it's fine, it's okay. So that is not agreeing. A lot of times, because the child may come from, may have had a hard time, may have got scolded, maybe bullied, maybe for all that you know. And the moment you start teaching them, as soon as they come, because a lot of times we miss on that time, as soon as they come, you start teaching them to keep, they're not ready to listen. And when you agree, you want to agree, saying, okay, you know what, my child maybe at that point of time does not want to keep that bag and he's not in the mood, it's okay. Then there is something that comes up saying, oh, if I agree that I'm accepting anything that he's doing, like I'm accepting and validating, like I'm giving more encouragement to that behavior. No, accepting is, baby, you know what, it doesn't, I mean, I can observe, I see that you are not ready to maybe keep that bag. Maybe you're not ready to listen to me. Maybe you need some time right now. So let that bag be here. I'm not going to take it. But once you shower, once you come back, maybe after 10-20 minutes, when you're ready, you can keep the bag back in its place. So that is not agreeing, because a lot of times what we feel is like, oh, we are giving in too much. Yes, giving in is also something that is not okay, but it's very different from accepting. So when I'm saying accepting and validating, that means a lot of times when you're working with children, you have to understand what their mode is. Now, a lot of times we miss, even for teachers, I tell this many, many times, teachers also don't understand what transition is. When a child is moving from one place to the other, home to school, school to home, there's so much of stimulation that has happened. He's maybe sat next to a person he doesn't like. There's so much of sound. He's seen so many things. He's processing so many things, right? As soon as you come, a lot of parents ask this question: how was your day? Kya hua? What happened? Did your teacher tell? And the child is like, fine, nothing happened. Everything was okay. And then the parent is like, why? Why is he not talking to me? Well, that's because he's gone through so much of stimulation. He needs time to calm down. He needs time to make that adjustment from a class to a bus to a home. And he needs that time to settle down. And you know what? We also need that. We're humans as well, right? So there is timing for us and at that point of time, you will need to pause. You will need to pause and you will need to then understand that this is not the right time for me to talk at all. So when you are talking, please do make an eye contact. So these are just few points for you. I'm just going to quickly tell you about the questions, which is super important for you to understand is if your child is not listening to you and is throwing a tantrum, like for example, I want to go out and play cricket. Okay. And it's 7 o'clock and you're not supposed to play cricket. And he's saying, no, I want to go because my friend is coming when my friend is coming. So just pause at that point of time, whatever is happening. What does my child need right now? Why is he not listening to me? What is my child trying to express? Is he expressing his desire? Maybe, a lot of times parents want their children to stop handling their gadgets after, let's say, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And a lot of times they get into this gaming and you want them to saying no, and they hide and they start gaming. Well, at that point of time, pause, saying, why is my child not listening? Like, why is my child not keeping that phone down? Why is he so tuned to gaming? What is gaming giving him? Understand that. Talk to people like me. Talk to your teachers. I mean, you have wonderful team over here as well. Ask them why that happens, because children today want that sense of connection. They want that sense of validation. That's why there is something that's pulling them away. It is not because they're running away from you. So the whole idea over here is stop. If he's throwing a tantrum, he's in a mall, he wants a toy, pause, saying, what does my child need right now? Does he need skills? What is that desire? What is he trying to tell me? Like, what does he want? And life desires, like if maybe he wants a pair of shoes, maybe he wants a new phone. And that is a very normal life desire. And the moment, but he's expressing it is through anger. So, parents, what I'm trying to tell you is behind every tantrum, behind every acting up, behind every fight, behind every argument, behind every time when a child you feel is not listening to you, there is something he's expressing, something he doesn't know what he needs to do, right? So, you can ask these questions to really understand what he wants, right? So, I'm just going to pause right now. And before I get into the new point, Veena, are you around? Is there any parent putting a question?
Yes. You want me to? Okay.
I'm just asking. I can't see anything here. So
Yes, I'm going to read out the questions what parents have
just
sent.
one or two of them.
Yeah, sure. When children are very, very angry, what we should do? I thought Ramai said something went wrong.
Oh, that's a question?
Yeah, she's just shared our view.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So when your child is throwing a tantrum, he's super angry. Like I said, I'm coming to Ravi's question again. It's important for you to teach them skills. Firstly, you have to tell them is at that point, if supposing this is happening right now, I don't know what the age is. Okay. By the way, I'm just considering a younger age right now. Okay. So supposing the child is in third and fourth and he's super angry, he's fighting. So you are going to back off. You're not going to get angry. Now imagine anger person and an anger child. Imagine nervous system, two aggravated nervous systems coming together. It's like do maidan mein do, ek maidan mein do talwar nahi reh sakte. It's like that. So if one is angry, one has to calm down. So you will have to work on your calming. So what you need to do is to take 3 calming breaths or anything that works for you, anything that helps you. A lot of time, quick things like, taking a cold glass of water really helps you to calm yourself down. Maybe even asking, being very honest with your child, saying, you know what, this conversation is making me super irritated. Like I'm getting angry right now. Let's talk about this later because I'm not ready to listen. Sometimes that honest confession is important. And a lot of times, sometimes when the child is very angry, you just have to watch. Because a lot of times you just have to give that space for the child to throw that anger. I don't like you. You are just no, you're every parent gives me the chance to go out. You're the only one who stops me from watching the gadget. You're blah, 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 blah. The child, you will have to just listen to them saying, okay, finished. Okay, seems like you're
As a
angry.
parent, how to
Yeah.
balance between two kids age about 13 and 5, irrespective of academics, emotions, responsible.
How to balance
Yeah, balance between two kids, age
between
about
two
13
kids.
and 5.
Okay. This parent, please write a little more specifically what do you mean by balance. Does that
Yeah,
mean that you are trying to make that relationship, sibling relationship? Maybe that?
no, like that. I'll just read the question again. As a
Yeah.
parent, how to balance between two kids, age about 13 and 5, irrespective of academics, emotions, and responsibility.
So, okay. So if I'm understanding this right, quickly, what I'm going to tell you is you as a parent need to build like I said, I have two kids, right? My older one, very different from the younger one. For me, the way I talk to the older one is very different from the way I talk to a younger one. So you will have to somewhere build respective connections and relationship with them. So you will have to go back and say, beta, you know what? Biggest mistake that we do as a parent, we tell the older one, that is our older one. Supposing we have a 13-year-old, we tell them, beta, you know what? You're grown up. He's your younger brother. You have to be patient with him. That's the biggest mistake that we do. Because for a child, he's 13 and he's where he is, right? We, by doing that, by saying that, we're comparing both our children. So a lot of times you may hear your children saying, my parents compared me. And you're like, where did I compare? Yeah, I never compared them. This is where they compared. Like you are setting, expectations with your older one just because he's older in age. It doesn't mean that he has that maturity to handle another person in his life who may be 6 year old. So they both may be fighting because sibling rivalry, a lot of times both fight because they want to understand how to relate with each other. So a lot of sibling relationship and rivalry is also because two people are trying to see where and how to work with each other. So they're trying to push each other to see how much I can push her and how is she going to react, how is he going to react. So it's a way both of them actually relate. I fought with my the brother just after me. We were a sibling of four, like four children. The brother after me, my gosh, the amount of fights that I used to have with him. But you know what? Today I'm closest to him. And I'm sure you have some similar stories as well. So sibling relationship is with that. Now, how do you balance between both is to really connect with your older one, understand what is irritating about the younger one, where is he disturbing about, and then you go to younger one saying, beta, what happened? Beta, you should do this with your brother. We both are together. Talk to them with each other. So that's where you need to separately somewhere engage and then get them together and talk to them as well. That's how you balance things, right? So a lot of times we get both of them together because we are super lazy and don't have that patience to handle them. So we get both of them together and we tell them, stop talking, both of you. Okay, I want you to stop. You are old. You should understand what is happening. And you are young. Don't trouble your older brother. And we feel like it's done. Well, that's not going to help. Really not going to help. Sometimes we do tend to do that, and that's okay. But fundamentally, you have to be talking to the older one, trying to understand, saying, beta, have this, draw the line. If he's irritating you, please do this, get away from there. So understand what is troubling and then handle them both. Yeah. Because a lot of times with parents, what happens is we go into extremes. Oh, he's so polite. Oh, he's so cooperative. Or otherwise, he's spoiled. So we go into the extremes. And some way, if we have to engage with our children, we have to engage in the middle. We have to understand that it's somewhere in the middle. All right. So I'm coming to very, very. So, Veena, do you want to tell me something?
Yeah, just can I take up one more question and move on next?
Yes, you can. And parents,
Tara
while I'm
Kundan,
answering this question, Veena, once again, while I'm answering this question, if you want to take a picture of this, please go ahead, because I want you to make a poster of this and keep it right in front of you, right? And I'll tell you what it means. Go ahead, Veena.
Yeah, shall I continue with any question or
Yes,
is it
Veena.
continue with the session?
No, ask me the question.
How to make them understand when they are wrong to be right and don't downgrade anyone if they are little weak in study or any other same scenario.
How do you talk to them? I mean, what is the question again?
When they are wrong to be right and don't downgrade anyone if they are little weak in study or any other same scenario.
So I'm just assuming that this child is putting somebody else down. Is that
No,
what it
like
is?
when
No?
we compare two children, like the child might be not so good compared to another child. So parent might feel bad, like she wants to make him understand that he is little weak, but he should not feel that he's been downgraded.
Yeah. So just tell him about how he has talents, about what are the things that he does good. My gosh, you're so cooperative. I'll tell you this from an example. My both daughters, right? So one is intellectual, very good in studies, the other one is very average in studies. All right. But my second one is very good with relationships, emotions, expressing, she's very good with her art and music. My older one is very, very, intellectual, very, very good in studies and nothing else. So for me, I had to kind of talk to them and saying, you know what, it's very natural for you to compare yourself to your older sister. Like, you're not good enough in your studies. She gets in 95, 98, and you're still struggling with 70 and 80. It's okay, because she's different from you. And look at you, you're good in music, you're good in art, and that makes you unique and different. But you know what, this comes with a lot of patient talking. And this is something which a child is not going to understand once, twice. It's repetitive. And what you can also do is enhance that in the child. So if you feel like, for example, my second one was good and create, I put her in creative spaces where she can explore her talent and she can achieve, and then that internally understand that, you know what, I'm good in studies, I'm good in art, I may not be good in studies, and that's absolutely okay. Yeah. So A is by talking. Secondly is to engage them, keeping what they're good in, get them to explore, put them into sports if they're good in sports, put them into art if they're good in art, and let them realize it's not about you telling, it's about them realizing what they're good at. Right. So that is super important. Okay. So the question, Veena, will just probably pause over here. So before you talk to them, guys, I want you to please understand there are a few questions that you have to ask. A lot of times when we are correcting our children, telling them, saying, both of you, brothers, supposing they're fighting, both of you behave yourself. That's not the way to talk in public. And that's not the way you should fight at home. The way we say it, as if it's a matter of life and death. If you don't believe me, when you're correcting your children, next time when you're disciplining your children, you know what? Record your voice. Record your voice and listen. And you will understand how devilish we are, how angry we sound, how impatient we sound, how restless we are. Listen to it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Because a lot of times we put things as if it's a matter of life and death. It is not a matter of life and death, right? It's okay. It's okay to kind of step back a little bit, right? Put that phone down. You're not going to touch that gadget from the next 3 years because he just sitting in the gadget maybe for an extra 3 hours that you told him. Maybe he even hid from you. He didn't tell you that he was doing. But the way we tell him as of, oh my gosh, it's a matter of life and death, right? Maybe he's lying. Maybe he has hidden something from you. Maybe, and that is not acceptable. Definitely not acceptable. But reacting like that is only going to push him to do that more, right? So understand it's not a matter of life and death. The second question you have to ask is this a right time? Okay, coming to the first point. Sometimes when you're teaching your children, let's say safety rules, when you're walking down the road and you're teaching him to cross the road, the child runs away. You are catching him and saying, no, you can't do that. Well, that is a matter of life and death. So you can sound like that. But with gadgets, with, let's say, putting things back in its place, talking softly, kindly, being calm, it's not a matter of life and death. These are skills that will be built over a period of time. So that's where I'm coming from. Is this the right time? That means you ask yourself, am I ready to talk? Are they ready to listen? Is it necessary right now? So supposing if I want my child to, let's say, put the gadgets right now, is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary, because it's 10 o'clock in the night, he needs to sleep. But is that the same necessity on a Sunday at 5 o'clock? Maybe not, because it's Sunday, he doesn't need to sleep. So is it necessary now? Or should I just push that talk maybe for tomorrow and tell him that, beta, you know what, you can watch this, whatever you're watching on gadgets, use gadget, play Minecraft, maybe on a Sunday, a little longer, but on a weekday, because you have to go to school, it is important. So is it necessary? Am I ready to talk? is my child ready to listen? And is this the right place for me to engage in that conversation? A lot of times, what has happened is, we teach our children in front of our mothers, their grandparents, their friends, their maids, maybe somewhere outside, right? Is this the right place for me to teach our children? Maybe it's in a restaurant, they're putting up a fight, they're fighting with each other, they're playing with their knives. Well, is that the right place? No, maybe not. So then at that point of time, you say, you know what? This is something that is happening, is not okay with me. We're going to go home and talk about that, right? So ask yourself that, because you are getting children to be ready for a conversation. All right. So what I'm going to do is, this is an interactive one, but I wonder how we're going to do this. So I'm going to just put forward, are some parents here, Veena? Some parents over here? There are about 17.
Yes, they are here.
All right. Okay. Can I just ask somebody to volunteer, please, to come up? What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a few like dialogues. You tell me, because it's all about talking. So we'll have to look at dialogues, like how are you going to address, right? So I thought, let me just put a slide, 2 slides on how. So if one parent can volunteer, who would like to volunteer? Is someone here? Is Ravi around, if he's here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Ravi, would you be okay with kind of role-playing this with me?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. I'm not judging you. No one is, but we're just trying to do a role play. All right. So how would you respond? So supposing your child, Karan, he took the car, okay, and Karan's taken someone's car, okay, and he's coming back and he's saying, I want my car back. How are you going to respond?
So Karan has taken my car or is someone else's car?
The child is coming and telling you that Karan has taken my car and I want my car back. How are you going to respond?
So let's say tell him patiently, see, he's your friend. So it doesn't matter, like he plays for some time. So give him some space, like some time, and anyway, he's going to give you back your car. It's your car. It will come back to you after some time. You need to be patient, and you need to build your bonding with the friend. So I explain him like this.
Very good, Ravi. What I really like about Ravi's response was, number one, he didn't dismiss the feeling. He said, yeah, I know it's your car, and the car will come back to you. So there's a little bit of soothing that was there as well. But one thing is, when we're talking to our children, now this is something which I want you to take a feedback and I want you to reflect on. When we're talking to our children, the kind of lecturing that we give them, how much we talk. I mean, the same thing, we can actually say it in 3 words, 3 sentences. This is a rule that I want you guys to understand, because a lot of times, the more we talk, the lesser they listen. Would you agree with me? This happens it's human nature. If our boss gives us lecture, we switch off. If our teachers are giving us lectures, we switch off. We have, especially in the day and age today, our attention spans are lesser than goldfish. It's lesser than 9 seconds. Okay. So if you talk a lot, they're not going to listen. They're already just gone there. So instead of really dismissing, okay, you need to validate. Okay. So validation is somewhere like, oh, so Karan taking your car has made you angry. It seems like you're angry about the car. So let's just wait and see if Karan gives you that car back. And if he doesn't, let's both of us go back there and ask about him giving you the car. How about that? So the moment you validate, you understand that someone taking things away makes you angry. Then he's like, yeah, when someone takes things away from me, it makes me angry. So that way you're teaching vocabulary to them. And this is feeling vocabulary. This is emotional intelligence when you do that, right? So let me just again call for Ravi.
Yeah.
Your child dropped juice on the carpet. In spite of you telling him, hold that glass, don't bring that juice, he's dropped that. And it's an expensive carpet. How would you respond?
Yeah, I'll explain him the carpet, how value it is. Like say, again, it depends, right? Like how about his pencil, how he takes care of his belongings, like his pencil or book, any other things. So how much struggle or how much effort we put in to buy that carpet, right? So as a parent, we are gone through. I'll make him to understand what is the value of money. okay, this carpet is very costly. We have to work. So many hours, or maybe half a month we have to work to get that carpet, to buy that carpet, right? So I make him understand, and so I'll tell him like, hey, so when you get the glass, right, or juice or something, you should be holding the glass like in this manner, and so that it doesn't spill over. Or it's better, since you're a kid, you need to understand better you don't step onto those costly carpets until you are learnt to how to handle that glass.
The motor skills are developed enough to do that. Ravi, I really appreciate your second part of how teaching him about holding that class, telling them that, till you learn, let's avoid doing that. But the first part, a lot of us do this. So for that child, supposing the child is bringing that juice for his grandmother, okay, because the grandmother was coughing, right? But he spilt it because he doesn't, maybe he was somewhere else, maybe he didn't have that. For him, the value was not the carpet. The value was to attend to his grandmother. There is a value there as well. Because a lot of times when we talk about, things like, oh, do you understand how much this carpet costs? It's taken half month for us. Children don't understand that because they are not there. For them, they're coming from us from a different, very different space. So they can't understand the value of things unless otherwise they actually understand. I mean, they earn and they find out what that is. So a lot of times what we parents also do is we get into this why. Like, like why did you drop that glass? How many times should I tell you? Why is it that you don't understand? This why is a very restless energy, right? So you need to move from that why energy. Like, why are you not listening? Why are you not brushing your teeth? Why are you not taking bath? Why don't you listen to me? Yeah, to hold hands when you're crossing. Why is a very restless energy. So what you need to do is come into what is, what, the juice is on the floor. Maybe you need help. Maybe you shouldn't be walking on this carpet because you don't know how to hold it. So let me just help you now to clean that up. Let me help you to practice that. Let's practice it without holding the juice, without any fluid into that. So what is it? Now, what is a very presence oriented energy? So what has happened is actually happened. Why is a very restless energy. And giving the solutions and giving lectures on values and how much it costs. Really, if a child of any age, irrespective of whether he's 4 or he's 14, at least 4 will sit and listen to you. Yeah, ma, it's very expensive. Oh, daddy had to earn so much. 14 will be like, get lost. I'm not even going to listen to you. Mom, you started again, and this is what they're going to do. Don't tell me this. Every time we do this, I don't care. If it's 10,000 rupees, I don't care. I didn't earn it. Who told you to put that carpet over there? That's exactly how a 14-year-old is going to do it. And they are doing this not because they want to disobey you. They're doing it because they want to tell you that, listen, this why energy is something I can't handle. So don't be so anxious with me. Tell me what I should do. I'm okay to listen, right? So I love working with teenagers because of that. They actually tell you they put you in place. They tell you exactly where you need to do and how to talk to them. Okay, how many of you do this? You do this, right? Speed dialing. And when you speed dial, the speed of your talk, how many times should I tell you the speed of it? You know what? For kids, they have 3 layers of listening. I'm not getting into the science of this, but they have 3 layers of listening, right? So they actually listen from the top layer of listening. So when you talk to them, this is also meant for teachers. If your teachers listening to this conversation, a lot of times with children, they process things much slower than what an adult would do. So going with the speed is only going to not get them to listen. They don't even understand what you're saying. They're not doing it because they don't want to listen, but their time with which the words enter and they're processing, saying, what do you mean? What is my parent trying to say? Oh, that is much slower, right? So that's why a lot of times you have to speak very little. You just have to say, Arjun, be careful with the glass. Or Arjun, glass. Karan, car, that is more than enough for them to understand what you're trying to say. And if they ask you saying, what, ma? Saying, be careful with that last. So the lesser and the more slower you speak, the better it is for them to understand. If anything today you don't want to take, just try and talk very slowly with your children, and you will see that they will start paying attention to you. All right. So that's one thing. All right. So who is going to now? I'm sure. Okay. So how many of you do this? If a child wants to come and say, Mom, I want to play more, and then you suddenly come back and say, didn't you hear me? Put those toys back right now. Bol diya to bol diya. Right now, put on your shoes. Right now, go and take a shower and come. Right now, go and put that gadget back. How many of you say that? I'm sure there are a lot. Veena, do you do that?
Yes, many a times. I think most of the parents, we do that.
Most of the time, yes, yeah.
Yes.
So it's like an executive order that we give them. And you know what? Ask yourself, do you like to be ordered around? If somebody tells you right now, go and finish that project. Right now, supposing your husband comes in and right now, go and make that biryani. Would you like that? No, right? And supposing if the wife tells the husband, right now, go and get that fish that I asked you for, right now. No one's going to like right now, right? So you will have to come from that space of really understanding and describe that situation. So say something like, if you say, Mom, I want to play more, you're going to say, oh, of course, I understand you want to play more. You want to play more with your friend. You want to be with them. You want to spend more time. I understand. But it's time for you to put those toys back because it's time for your bed. They're closing in on your bed. And the child says, Mom, please, Mom, 5 minutes. I said, all right, 5 minutes. But that doesn't mean that you play for another 10 minutes. Are you getting my point? So this right now, the moment you say right now, especially with teenagers, it switches their mind. You know what? Their egos kind of gets awakened, and egos are like lions, they're like roaring and say, what are you telling me right now? I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not listening to you. And teenagers do that, right? So right now is not okay. But understanding, saying, okay, yeah, I do know. Okay, you want to play Minecraft with your friends? I'm sure that you would want to play this because you have friends who are on the other side of the globe. I completely understand that. But you cannot, baby, stay awake, or son, you can't stay awake till 11 in the night to do that. Maybe till 11:15. So negotiation with teenagers really work. What does not work, now, this is something what I'm bringing right now is telling you things that will never work for your children, right? This executive order is not going to work. And if you are little ones, because I do understand, Veena told me that there are parents from grade 1 who are here. So a lot of times we actually tell our children that, if they're crying, saying, stop crying, don't cry. If you want something, you tell me by using words. Don't cry, stop crying right now. You know what? Those little kids, if you have a child who's 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I want you to understand that those kids are very feeling based. They cry before they say something. No, I want chocolate. And sometimes they just cry and then say, why are you crying? I want chocolate. Then they say, they do that because they're feeling based. That means their brain, which is very strong in feelings, is a lot more powerful than thinking. Right? So they cry because that's how they express their emotions. So don't stop them from crying, and definitely don't tell them to say it in words. In fact, just tell them saying, you're crying, you feel like upset, it's all right. Come here and sit beside me. And just get them to sit beside you or hold their hands. That's more than enough for them to, calm themselves down. This is for grade 1 and 2. So I'm coming to the last part of this. Using threats. How many of you like threats? We do this a lot of times, especially mothers. I saw you. As soon as your dad goes, you take up that gadget, and only before your dad comes, you put that gadget down. Wait, let me tell your dad. Let me tell you, when he comes, no, that's the only way you're going to listen. The moment you mom, this is for moms, the moment you say that, you are giving away your power to the dad, which is still okay. But for the child is like, oh, my mother can't do anything. What worse is she going to do? She's only going to tell dad, no? Well, I'll deal with the dad. And children are so, especially teenagers and preteens, children, they're so smart, they'll know exactly how to bond with their dad and get away things from the dad, but they will not tell you that. And I'm sure a lot of you will agree with that. So instead of telling them your daddy will come and using threat, offer alternatives. Saying, baby, you know what? You watched it today for more than 2 hours. Tomorrow you're going to watch 1 hour less. Or tomorrow you'll only watch it for 10 minutes. Don't give away, because when you're using threats, you're giving your power away. They're not going to take you seriously when they become big or older enough, right? So a lot of times you also use popcorn no. Popcorn no is, Mom, can I watch Netflix for another 10 minutes? No. Can I go out and play with a friend? No. Or otherwise, can I not take a bath today? No. So that popcorn no is something which also children. So instead of that, what you can do is give them something which I call conditional permission. So if they want to go out with their friends, and instead of no, just say, hey, you want to go out with your friend? Let's finish with your homework. When you finish with your homework, then you can go. Or after you have taken a shower, then you can go out and play with your friends. So that is conditional permission. So that way you're coming into that gray space. You're not no, yes, because these are two things. No, there are spaces that we can work. So, well, you want a dessert, you want a chocolate? Sure, you can have. Let's finish our dinner, then you can have your chocolate. That when, then, after, then is something that you can use to basically negotiate and come in that, use that middle space for them to listen to you. Yeah, so this is something which I wanted to tell you. And so coming back to the last ones, a lot of times we forget on how to really empathize and what are those empathize openers are. Like, when the child is saying, I want to watch for another 10 minutes. I want to play Minecraft because my friends are there sitting. You always do that to me. So then what is it immediately I have to say? Like, what do I say? You can use these openers. This is what I call as empathy-based openers. So you can say, okay, I know that you want to play with your friends. I see that you want to stay up a little more to keep yourself awake to play with your friends. I understand playing with your friends is so important. Of course, you want to play with your friends. I would play with your friends if I was in your place as well, because your friends, they just come online and the time is not matching. Of course, I would want to say hello. So you can use some of these way to start that conversation in a very empathetic way. Okay, so let's work this out. Okay, how can we do that? Can you ask your friends to log in a little earlier so that you can spend at least 1 hour? Can we probably do this more on Sundays? So you can work this out. But what is important for you is to use, these are just suggestions, you can use these as empathy-based openers. And you know what? When you empathize with your child, they will definitely listen to you. And the reason why children don't listen to us is because they feel we don't understand them. And they're right. So whenever your child says, Mom, you don't understand, you know what? At that point of time, they don't say, no, I don't understand. What do you mean I don't understand? I'm doing so much for you. You don't understand what we go through as parents. So instead of that, you say, yeah, maybe I don't understand. Help me to help you. Tell me how I can do to understand that. So that means we'll have to be patient. Now, what can we do? Now, I'm sure you're going to ask me, how can I be patient? What is that skill? So since I do mindfulness, let me take you through an exercise. Okay, so I want all of you to sit up straight. I want all of you to sit up straight. Now, this is a very quick thing that you can do to anchor your attention. So that means if your mind is like going all over the place saying, oh, this child is getting me so upset, and your emotion is basically overwhelming and you feel like you're going to react. Okay, so this is a quick thing that you can do. Okay, I want you to actually place your hand. I can't see anybody, guys. So I'm just going to show you how you can do, but you can practice. So keep your back straight. So the whole idea over here is your spine has to be straight. Your shoulders just roll back. And just bring your attention right now to the intention. Intention is, I'm using this 1 minute to just calm myself down. Right? So that is your intention. The intention is niyat. It's your starting point. All right? So what you can also do right now is you can place your hand on your chest, maybe your right hand or your left hand, whatever, and the other hand on your stomach, which is over here, right? So wherever you feel you're breathing more, okay? If you can feel your breath more, pay more attention here. If you feel you can you're breathing more from here. So just take a quick check to see from where you're breathing, right? So place your hand there. All right. So wherever you feel your breath more, just bring your attention there. What does that mean? That means wherever your hand is moving to your breath, just bring your attention and just see how your hand moves to your breath. Right? 1 minute, close your eyes if you can, or otherwise just place your attention to a point right in front of you. This is your calming time. And breathe. Take in deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose. What helps me more is to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Check if I'm breathing correctly, because a lot of times we breathe very wrongly. And when we are breathing, our diaphragm, our chest should expand. It's like balloon expanding because the air goes in. So that means your body should expand. It should come up. It should come out. If it's contracting, that means when you're breathing in, if you're pulling your stomach, that means you're breathing wrongly. Your nervous system is activated. You have more tendency of reacting. So the correct way to breathe is when you're breathing in, it's like filling the air in a balloon, so you should expand. And when breathing out, you're expelling that air out of your body, so it should contract. That is the right way of breathing. This is a profound exercise. In fact, when you are in a conflict with your child, when you feel like you're getting reactive, just place your hand anywhere on the body. This is a fabulous place to keep. Otherwise, you can also keep one hand on your chest, one hand on your tummy. If you want, you can keep both the hands on your tummy, right? Wherever you feel, right, left, just do this when you're talking to the child. This is going to remind you to calm down. And very intentionally take deep breaths. This is not going to happen to you when you are in that fight. You will have to dedicate at least 5 minutes in a day to sit with your breath. Or if there's any other thing that calms you down, painting, prayers, meditation, yoga, walking, spend that time with yourself. Any form of self-care, you can do that. Anything or any kind of pranayams, anything that works for you. Create like a list and follow that. But make sure that you are dedicating 10 minutes every day. Put it as a part of your plan. Put it as a part of your day, because that is otherwise going to make a mess out of it when you're there, right? So this is preparing your body and your mind to really calm yourself down. Because when you're reacting, this is what your children are actually saying. Because a lot of times we are thinking, overthinking. They're actually telling you, stop overthinking that so much, because you're going to break by you overthinking and lecturing me so much. You're not only breaking my heart, but you are breaking my spirit. This is something which they actually tell you. Yeah. So this is the last part of my presentation. So I'm just going to stop sharing right now. And yeah, so I am going to be looking at some questions. In case if you have any questions, go ahead and put them on the screen.
But I would like to inform you that it was a really wonderful experience. The way you asked us to do the meditation, it was really a full experience. I felt it was awesome. Like the way actually we are here in a meeting, we are a little bit scared or tensed up. But when I did this meditation just now, I felt very relaxed and I felt I was more confident.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank
So
you.
another thing that you can do,
Very
there's
good.
another question on patience here. So another thing you can do is you can keep your finger over here, because a lot of times we need stronger anchoring. So, and when you breathe out, just breathe out, but feel the breath, the warmness on your breath over here. You can do that. Another thing you can teach your children is high five breathing. This will work for you and this will work for your children. So what you can do is saying, all right, this is getting a heated argument right now. All of us let's take a break and let's do high five breathing. What's high five breathing? You do this. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out through your mouth. Pause. Breathe in, pause, breathe out. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out. And you can just get them to do 5. Teach this to your children. Do it with them. Make it a part, like the way you guys sit together and do things together, eat together. If you're not doing it, please do that. At least one meal in a day is mandatory for everybody to sit in on a table, or even better is to sit down, because grounding body, mind comes when you sit on the ground. So as Indians, I think we should be very proud of some of the practices that we do. That's the reason why we sit down on the ground and eat, and together as a family. And you know what? Just likewise, do these practices as well. It'll help you and definitely help your children be patient and calm as well. So this is another thing that you can do. Anything that works for you, right? But what really is all about is taking in breath and blowing out through your mouth. Just do that. Just do that. That's more than enough. All right. So I have a few questions. So can I read out, Veena?
Yeah. From Amsaveni ma'am here. My son is the only kid. I will get angry only for his food habits. It will take more than an hour to finish his food. Can you please help with it?
Okay. So how old is the child? Do you know how old is the child? How old is the child, Veena?
Might be between 8 to 10.
Maybe he's young.
Parent is not
To put that age. Yeah. It's always better to put the age when you're asking me those questions, because it's just so much more helpful for me to answer that question. You know what? Some children just eat very late. And you know what? There is something called mindful eating. In mindful eating, we actually teach children to go slow in eating, because they're gulping very fast, right? So slow eating has its advantage, but I don't know why he's eating very slow. A lot of times what parents do is they give a gadget, and because of that, that actually slows down. And sometimes they give the gadget because that's the way children start eating faster. So I don't know. If the child is eating slow, and if you feel that's because of his habit, and if you want him to finish his food fast, number one point is stop being restless. Accept what is happening right there, that he is taking 40 minutes to eat, and that is the truth. If you're comparing him to saying, oh, you know what? My cousin does not eat to take so much. My older child takes in 20. Why is he taking 40 minutes? That is not the case. He's your child. He's different. He's taking 40 minutes. It is what it is. Now work with him and say, you know what, Beta, you take 40 minutes. I counted. Let's try and do something. Let's try and see if we can finish it in 30 minutes. Let's try and do that. I'm going to wait over here and see. I'm going to put a timer, and let's see if we can wait and if you can finish eating in 30 minutes. So you prop up, you kind of encourage him to kind of, eat more faster. That is just one of the things that we're doing. But what you shouldn't be doing is, like I said, comparing him, saying you're very slow. Because you know what? Sometimes when children are eating very slowly, they're really connecting with their deep intuition. So don't stop them from doing it. But that doesn't mean that they sit with their food for 2 hours, right? You want them to finish in 30 minutes? Go ahead and give them that time to finish. But it has to be very slow and patient process, right?
Thank you, Fatima. Now, next question I would like to take up from Biba Patke. Hi, ma'am. How to make the 6 to 7-year-old kids listen to get rid of their bad habits? Example is like nail biting.
Ooh, nail biting is a sign of nervousness. So that means the child is not able to express his nervousness. So understand that. Some of these habits are unconsciously coming from their very deep emotional state. Just understand that. So when the child is nervous, don't make him more nervous by telling you can't buy, why are you biting the nails? This is not okay. Don't make him more nervous. So just kind of, bring their attention. Again, it helps if I have the age. If a 2-year-old child is doing this, then you can get him to distract, distract him, take him outside. That will kind of wean him off that habit. But if the child is, let's say, 7, 8-year-old and still doing it, that means you will have to speak to a counselor. There is definitely a sense of nervousness which he's trying to do. So what you can also do is create like a soothing space for him. Get him clay, get him water, get him these, you have these Zen gardens that you can create, and you can just Google them out. They're not expensive. Get him a stress ball. So every time you feel he's playing with his nail, you know what? Just give him that stress ball and tell him to press that, put his hand in cold water. Things like that. You can also do that because that will ease his nervousness. Because every behavior that a child does has a sort of an emotional component to it most of the time. So getting to that becomes very important. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
There are so many questions here. Wow.
Yeah. How to change confused study mind?
Huh?
How to change their confused study mind?
Confused study or steady?
Study mind.
Confused study mind. Okay, they're confused about studying, you feel?
Like, I think, while studying that.
Oh, they get confused.
Studiousness is not there. Might be like
studious. Maybe. Parents, it'll be really nice, appreciative if you can be a little more clearer with your questions. So when you say confused, is the child getting too confused because he's not able to receive that portion? So he gets confused with mathematics, is that what you're asking me? Or is it that he's overwhelmed? I don't know. So maybe if that's the question, then I would say that children have different styles of learning. Some of them learn by listening, some of them learn by doing, some of them learn by looking, visual learners. And some of them really need experience to learn, right? So maybe the child is getting confused because we are teaching him in a manner that is not really resonating with him. That is not the way he learns. So that's the reason why he gets confusing. Maybe that could be the case. Maybe he also needs help with memory. Maybe he needs memory techniques. Maybe he needs ways of really putting those questions down in such a way that he can remember. So maybe working memory needs to be promoted a little bit. So there are techniques and strategies to do that as well. There's flow charts you can do. There are pictures you can make. There are stories that you can tell them. You can sing songs, make keywords, and actually make like songs out of them and do. And if the child is young, that will work for them. But if the child is older, if the child is we don't have teenage parents, right? Do we?
At present, no. In this webinar, we have parents of grade 1 to 5.
Okay. If the child is in fourth or fifth standard, then definitely it could be the fact that he needs some help with working memory, or the child is very stressed and feeling overwhelmed with the kind of portions that's given to him. So we need to break down into smaller tasks and give him. So take help with your teachers, because this school will really help you, and they'll be glad, I'm sure, to really help you to break that syllabus up, and because that's the way he learns. So I'm sure that's what you're asking for. Hope I answered your question.
Okay, next question coming up is like, okay, Prakruti, my kid always in moody for crying for all activity.
Oh, what's wrong in crying? There's nothing wrong in crying, right? Like I said, crying is just as a way of her telling you that she may not want to do that activity, or she's scared to do that activity, or she wants you to sit with her and do that activity. So, you'll need to, okay, if she's 8 years old, if she's 8 years old, no, I don't know if that's what it is. Okay, so A is, please don't ask your children to stop. There are two things that we do as a parent. We stop them from expressing their emotions, saying, stop crying, stop shouting, or we tell them, stop talking. Like as teachers, we do that. Stop talking, everybody. Stop talking. Don't talk. You know what, parents, and this is for teachers as well, the moment they stop talking, they're in big trouble. You'll have to take them to therapy. You'll have to find psychologists, and you'll have to find psychiatrists to help them. And there'll be a time when you want them to talk. So don't stop them from crying. Don't stop them from talking. Yes, there are boundaries that you have to set. That's like another lesson, like another session by itself. But please don't say, stop crying, stop shouting, stop talking so much, stop telling. The day they stop talking to you, The day they stop expressing their emotion to you, we are in big trouble. So just tell them, you are crying. I'm sure there's something. Let's listen. So then maybe the child needs a little bit of soothing. If the child is 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, even 8 years old. If the child is 8 years old, if he has the habit of crying, help her out. And probably she needs skill to really express her emotions. So maybe that is something that you'll have to look
I
at.
think now we'll take up only one last question. It's already
Yes,
12:30.
please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So, like, I can take up, yeah, my son, 11-year-old, addicted to mobile and TV, how to get rid of gadgets.
You can't get rid of gadgets. Gadgets are here to stay. Technology is here to stay. You can't get rid of them. So that's why you make friends with gadgets. But a lot of times, what is missing in homes and houses and families are values and routines. So you will need to have, like, I'll just give you an example of where do we make mistakes. We give the phone, okay, I'd use this as an example to all our fathers, when they get, let's say, a new car, they buy a new car. Let's say they bought a BMW. When they buy a BMW, they think a lot before coming home. And they say, no, this is my BMW. I'm only going to take it out on Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to take it out to my in-laws' house. I'm not going to allow my children to sit with popcorn and ice cream because I want it to be clean. I don't want any scratches. I'm going to cover it. There's so much you think about it before getting that car. And when your children are sitting in that car, when they're getting into the car, you actually tell them saying, there are some rules. I'm getting a car. Doesn't mean that you can get in every time. It doesn't mean you can take anything. Doesn't mean that you're going to go and stamp on the boot of the car. You're going to tell them saying, listen, boss, there is a car over here. So there are certain things I want you to know. When we get gadgets, we don't do that. We don't tell them. We just give them gadgets without telling them what should we do. We don't have a place for the gadgets. We don't have time for gadgets. We don't tell them how gadgets can be meaningful in our life and also can be destructive. What is the purpose of the gadgets? Why are we going to use these gadgets? So you're going to tell them, beta, something like, so we don't have these rules and we don't set standards at home. So because we are so confused, we just give them that. And after giving, we tell them, oh, now, okay, you know what? The rule is from 8 o'clock onwards, you're not going to touch the gadget. And they're so spontaneous, like we tell them today, tomorrow onwards, you're not going to use it at all. I'm going to take it away. And day after tomorrow, you give it to them. So, we're swinging. We are confused. Yeah, that's the reason why kids are confused. So sit with them, sit with your wife, plan out what are the rules, how can we teach ourselves what our gadgets are. So if you don't want children to have any gadgets and play after 8 o'clock, listen, you have to stop giving that gadget at 8 o'clock. Are you ready to do that? If you are eating food in front of television and telling your children not to eat food while they're having some food, while they're watching something, that's not fair. Right? So we're very hypocritical in nature. We do something, but we want our children to do something else. Understand technology and gadgets here to stay. The more you stop your child from using it, the more he will try and use it. If you're stopping it, he'll go to a neighbor's house and do it. So what you need to do is actually tell your child how to manage it. What is okay, what's not okay. Set boundaries with gadgets. In fact, I have a whole lesson, an online session on how you can teach children boundaries with gadgets. So if you're interested, maybe you can ask Veena to give you, give you the address, and there is a way of registering for that, and you can watch that and practice that. And you know what? Children are very, very cooperative. They don't want to keep with their gadget. They need help, and you can definitely ask them to manage and make gadgets as a part of their life and manage it in a very healthy way, for sure. So thank you so much, Veena. And I'm really, really, really sorry I couldn't answer questions. But what I can ask you to
only
do
one
is,
last question. This question has been arised like 2-3 times a posting. My kid is happy and active in home. When she goes to school, she will quite like scared and silent. What to do, ma'am? She is 8 years old. Last question. Parents, this is the last question.
so she may be having separational anxiety, parent. So maybe a lot of times children are very clingy, and that also comes because of the way we kind of protect them. We are overprotecting them. Oh, ye mat karo. Don't go there. Don't go outside. Karo without your mask, you'll get infection. The cockroach is coming. Because of that way, they become very clingy to us. And when we want them to go to school, they get separational anxiety. So I can't really answer this question right now, but yes, please explore why this is happening, because this can be happening because of multiple reasons. It could be something that's happening in school, which I'm sure the teachers will do, but usually schools and all the teachers are very, very cooperative. They will, and they will somewhere suit that. Maybe it could be the fact that she's also having trouble making friends. Maybe that's how to talk to someone. There is definitely some sort of anxiety, right? So yeah, if I don't know if you have a counselor in school, but you can definitely talk to her if you can, or you can also get in touch with me on Facebook. I have like a group on Facebook. Like I said, you can log into that page. There's a lot of interaction that happens. You can keep talking to me, and maybe I can help you out to understand, right? So yeah, so that is something that I have. Definitely separational anxiety. So, or in some sort of social anxiety that the child is facing. Talk to your counselor, talk to a person like me, talk to the teachers as well, and they will probably advise you. If if it's because of the way you are talking to them, then you will have to look at other ways of talking to children and just calming them down. So it's okay. You're safe. You're safe,
Yeah.
and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much, Fatima ma'am. Fatima ma'am, really, it was great learning and awareness session for us. So coming to the end of this session, on behalf of Saundarya Central School, I thank our speaker, Mrs. Fathima Asghar. I immensely thank our management and our CEO, Mr. Ketan Kumar, for giving us an opportunity to conduct a webinar for the parents. I thank our principal, ma'am, Mrs. Renuka Devi, for initiating the sessions of parents in online mode. I also thank the coordinators, teachers, and the technical staff specially. Finally, I thank all the parents for participating enthusiastically and making the event a grand success.
Thank you so much, dear parents.
Kindly fill up the feedback form shared in the chat box. Please do not leave the meeting unless you fill up the feedback form. At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents. Isn't it, parents? Thank you. Thank you for showing us lots of support in this webinar. Thank you, parents.
So, Veena, I'm just taking a minute to thank all the parents over here. And my apologies, dear parents. I couldn't answer everyone's question, but I'm here in case if you want to. So that link that I have given is, is the way that you can stay connected with me if that is okay with you. Trust me, I feel like all of you are or can become a coach to your parents. You are the best people to understand what your child needs, and you're the best person to know. So keep learning, keep attending webinars like this. I'm really grateful to this school. This is one of those very few schools who really take parent education very seriously, because at the end of the day, you cannot do as a parent. You will need them. You will need the school, you'll need the teachers for well-being of your children. And likewise, they need your involvement so that the child is happy and successful. So both you and the school, you have a shared vision, and you both come together so that you can make your child a very happy global citizen. So please do keep attending sessions like these. And thank you so much, dear the management, and of course, dear Veena, for thinking of me. I had fun. So my gratitude to you.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you so much. Dear parents, we'll be back with many more webinars like this. When we have people like Fatima, I'm sure we're going to continue the webinars. Okay. Thank you, parents.
Thank you.
Oh, special thanks to Ravi. Ravi, thank you so much. It takes a lot of